Yeah, I'm bored, mate. Absolutely. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. You see, I was showing a distinct lack of interest in you, showing an interest in me. Horrible, isn't it? But you see, it happens every single day at every single business or trade show or expo that I have ever been to. The place that people and businesses pay for space and marketing and yet seem not to know what they should be doing when they get there. Why bother? Why waste your time and your money? Now, I'm Mark Ford, I'm your best kept business secret. So let's talk about you and your business actually making these trade shows and expos actually pay for themselves and get you some proper return on investment. It's winter, the time that many companies begin to ramp up for some of the biggest industry events of the year in January, February and March. In Q1 alone, for example, there are nearly 100 trade and business shows per week going on throughout the UK alone. Now, whether you're a budget challenge startup or a corporate marketer headed to a trade show for the first time to prepare your company's branding for an appearance at one of the major events, it can be daunting and dangerous if done badly. Those challenges include determining what you really need in terms of the booth signage, banners, props, handouts, how early you start to get your materials produced and delivered by the time of the event, and how much you'll need to budget for those materials, how you can establish and reinforce your brand's presence in a crowded field amongst business prospects and media without breaking the bank. Now, as a veteran of too many industry trade shows and someone whose company helps businesses prepare for those industry events, I can share with you the following do's and don'ts to successfully maximise your return on investment and achieve the best results at events from a branding perspective. So, number one, do start early and shop around, particularly with regard to producing the signage and the banners for a booth or a table. In fact, one of the biggest do's I can give you is not to have a table. Most people spend far too much time sitting behind them, and they're kind of like a form of barrier to you and your prospective customers. Now, vendors can produce materials in pretty much a pinch once you've nailed down the necessary specs and restrictions from the show on your space. But give it at least 4 to 6 weeks ahead of the show, you'll need to send some proofs of anything you need to print or produce, unless you're happy to pay absolutely outrageous rush fees. So it's best to plan ahead 4 to 6 weeks. And there's more to produce than just banners and table toppers. For example, if you plan to showcase sample products at your table, you'll need smaller signage to identify and direct attention to those items. Or if you want to offer attendees a promo code, you might have to create a 4-colour postcard for media and others to take from your booth so that you don't lose that lead. Now, don't forget to check any props, signage and other printed items before you get to the event. You see, long-time PR veterans recall times they've had to have several banners rush printed to get them to the trade show on time, only to open them on the show floor to find one of the stands was broken and there was a glaringly awkward typo on another. Now, they tend to opt with travel with those banners, noting that the hassle is just actually worth it to avoid the risk of typos or any other snaffus that may lead to you having to rectify it. Now, make sure you smartly design your banners so that you've got your business name and what you do at the top of the banners. Why? Well, imagine a crowd in front of your booth or space and people want to see what all the fuss is about. If the stuff you do is at the top, people will still be able to see it and join the throng of people. Now, you also don't want to get sucked into high rental prices from the show. It can actually be more cost effective to purchase a monitor or a projector, for example, and return it even if there is a restocking fee. On the other hand, there are reasons to pay the Wi-Fi access fees rather than risking the use of a hotspot on the show floor. It means that you've got that fluidity and it saves hassle. So do get creative and experiential. If there's a way to demo your product in a way that will attract traffic to your booth, then go for it. But even gimmicky attention-grabbing tricks work if it gets people to stop and take a look. For example, Workers' Company Insurance Applied Underwriters features a giant bobblehead version of its corporate mascot, which is a St. Bernard dog, in its booth. inviting attendees to take a photo with the dog to post to social media. And you've probably seen the Instagram frame with logos, etc. all over the place. Sometimes even simple tricks like a popcorn machine or an oversized prize wheel can help break through the clutter and encourage interaction with your brand. I mean, seriously, who can dismiss a great smelling popcorn or something like that? Now, do use video to capture the attention and illustrate your value proposition, but keep in mind you'll need to produce something that isn't reliant on audio, since it's going to be very, very loud in the hall that you're in. Now, your video should be able to stand alone via visuals and text, and make sure you can play it on a loop successfully without having to go into your screen going into sleep mode and stuff like that. Now, don't bother with boring branded freebies such as jump drives, keychains, stress balls, or even more creative novelty items, because they are just going to get tossed shortly after the attendee leaves the show. An associate of mine recalls the time their company gave away sleeping masks. She still has a box of them taking up way too much room in her office. Now, more creative and yet still useful items can include personalised greeting cards, hats, especially if your booth is outside in a very hot location, and even tote bags. Do use sweets to lure people to your booth, but be mindful that just leaving a bowl on a table is just bloody lazy. It's actually the oldest trick in the book, but a fish bowl filled with mints or Skittles or Starburst is a tried and true tactic that works every single time. Not to mention, with all the talking you're doing, a mint or two in your pocket is going to come in very, very handy. Now, do wear branded attire, including executives, even if it's under a jacket. Why lose the opportunity to reinforce your company's name and identity at every single opportunity? And don't neglect to update your online presence as well. Make sure your website is up to date, correct, and current contact information, and a press page with recent coverage and press releases, etc. And most importantly, mobile responsive. Importantly, you should be making sure that your social channels are updated and that someone on site is monitoring interactions through the day or even the weekend. My biggest bugbear is that companies pay for space at these events and do absolutely no promotion that they're going to be there. Why? I don't get it. You see, what if someone is wanting to meet the team, see your product, or want an impromptu meeting? By not helping the exhibition by promoting your presence, you are drastically restricting your ability to reach your ideal customers and clients. It's like having a shop or an office and not telling anybody where you are. Not everybody can come to your store or your boardroom. This is a free meeting place and a networking opportunity. So for God's sake, promote it. Don't forget the business cards, updated for everybody on the team on your stand. And I know, it's almost 2 decades into the 2000s and we are still talking about business cards. But at virtually every event, even the techie ones, this seemingly archaic token of a very bygone era can still be the best way to remind new contacts to connect after the event and then promptly toss your business card in the recycling bin. That in mind, consider revamping yours before the show and make sure everybody attending on your company's behalf has plenty to hand out. Leave some white space on the card for the recipient to write themselves a note after your meeting along the lines of, don't forget to email this person. That would be quite nice. And last but not least, do follow up. Why, after all this effort, time and money, would you not follow up and reach out to the people that you've met on that day? But so many don't. It just makes no sense. Just follow up a few days later and see if they want that coffee, that Skype call, or that telephone call. So, what are your experiences of trade shows and expos? Why do you attend them? And just as importantly, why don't you attend them for your business? And give me some ideas, some hints and tips of what's worked for you. So drop me some comments below and go out, be brilliant, and I'll see you very soon.